In sports, if you want to be the best, there are no off days. Welcome to a special edition of the No Off Days podcast. He's Chris, I am Scott, and this week on the nodpod, we want to do something a little bit different. We're going to have a little bit more fun, dare I say.
Is that possible?
Than most weeks on this show. Yes, we are going to add to our acronyms. So this week's show is not a nodpod, but it's a nodpod pod.
Is that for our dad bods?
No,
What?
I'm afraid not. It's a best of discussion. That's right. We have a lot of discussions on the show.
Best of discussion.
A nod pod. I know you're with me. We've had a lot of great discussions over the little life of our old show here. Some between Chris and I. Yeah. And they turn into debates. Sometimes we then some between Chris, myself, and BK, and sometimes we have guests that join the fray. So we are going to let the discussions begin on this show, and with that, where we always begin, we bring BK in. So BK, I know we're not one to take many victory laps and pat ourselves on the back for all the accomplishments that we've had on this show. We don't do that kind of thing. But are you excited to have a little throwback episode?
I am excited to see how far we've come with this little program we've came up with.
I think we'll find that nothing has changed. I really think the quality we brought on episode 1 is still the same quality we put out today.
Well, we have a lot of great discussions to get to on this nodpod bod, and we will have much more to come. BK, thank you. Chris, thank you. And this is where you can find all of our episodes. We invite you to listen and watch. Go to fox13news.com/nodpod if you're watching and you want to listen or subscribe. You could take out your phone. You could zap the QR code on the screen in the bottom right-hand corner, and there you will find all of our shows. Please subscribe, fox13news.com/nodpod. Well, Chris, what a neat privilege it is to welcome in our guest, a true icon, someone that has transcended. We see these people that transcend their sport, and our guest certainly has professional pool star turned author. We have Jeanette Lee, better known as the Black Widow, on the No Off Days podcast. Jeanette, thank you so much for joining. I wish we could have done this interview in person so that you could hustle my co-host, Chris, out of all of his money. Welcome in.
We've got to get a table. We've got to get a table in the cafeteria in the studio somewhere. I'll be happy to.
Oh, we'll have you right over, and you can fleece me for sure. I've walked into a couple of bad wagers before. It's incredible to see you in person. You look like you're doing great. Tell us where you are right now in your journey.
Actually, so some people may not know, and I talk about this in my memoir, The Black Widow, a memoir, and I got stage 4 ovarian cancer about 3 years ago. And since then, it's recovering from chemo. I'm cancer-free.
Yes.
Wow.
And trying to develop my strength back with the way ovarian cancer tends to work, and being told by so many places and so many people, the chances of cancer coming back. I don't know that I want to spend such a big chunk of my time working on a pool game, which is my love, my hobby, but my children come first. They always have. My faith in my children.
Without question.
And that's why this book, The Black Widow, a memoir, was so important for me to write, just because I was looking at the end of my life. And I just knew that if I got more time, I would want it being the best mom that I could be. That was on the forefront of my mind.
I want to go back in time with you and talk about the beginning of all this and when you first realized that you had a talent at billiards. From what I understand, you grew up kind of in Brooklyn, in the pool halls there. First of all, most important question to me, what's the most amount of money you took from some guy when he thought he was going to have an easy victory here? What's the most amount of money you hustled from someone?
People ask me if I've hustled, but I always think of hustle as tricking someone. And I never really had to trick anyone. Me being a woman was the hustle. It didn't matter. It didn't matter how much I ran out. They always underestimated me. And I was happy. I was happy to break balls in stilettos. That was it was fun during a time that, there weren't a lot of women playing pool. I feel like pool and ESPN2 just kind of gave me permission to be me, and not just the timid wannabe Jeanette that I grew up as, but to be the Black Widow, to be strong and to have her own black, deadly look and feel about her.
Did you immediately like the nickname Black Widow? And who gave it to you?
There was a guy named Gabe Vigorito. He said, I remember when I first saw you walk in. I said, yeah. And he said, yeah, you were so sweet and friendly until you got a rack of balls and your entire demeanor changed. And you reminded me of a Black Widow because you lure your opponents to the table. And
it is The Black Widow, a memoir. And tell us, Jeanette, where folks can get their hands on a copy.
Yes, so you can get your hands on a copy through triumphbooks.com, amazon.com, Barnes & Nobles, everywhere. But if you go to my website, blackwidowstrong.com, you can get Black Widow merch.
Jeanette, thank you so much. And such encouraging updates on your health and family life and all that. Everything's going in the right direction. Great to hear. Thanks for coming on.
Yes. Keep kicking cancer's butt. Yeah, you're doing great.
Get that pool table in your house.
That's right.
Coming.
You got it.
Rack 'em up.
You got it. Stay with us. This special edition of the No Off Days podcast. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the nodpod bod. Chris, it's our best of discussion show. What do you say we dial up another one?
I love it. It's better than the nodpod wad, the worst of discussions.
Only the best for you. Let's check it out. It's been an eventful week in the NASCAR world. Our guest on top of all of it, and occasionally in the middle of it, as it happens. NASCAR on Fox's the great Bob Pockrass joining us, and we of course had the big fight last weekend, North Wilkesboro, Ricky Stenhouse, Kyle Busch, and somehow Bob's in the middle of all this. We need to get you some protective gear, Bob. What's your strategy going into this?
I mean, I was on the side of it, or some would say behind it, in the way Kyle Busch's back came into me. But when you're looking through a camera lens and all of a sudden you can't see anything and it starts swirling around, you hope you got good images and hope that you don't have any injuries. And I think I got good images and no injuries, so all good.
Oh, well, you got an excellent image. In fact, it became your new profile picture on Twitter, on X, I should say. Fantastic, by the way. I love it. I'm sure much of our audience follows you, Bob, but if not, you need to check out the new profile picture. So what happened in that situation? Did your own camera get turned against you in this, or was that a different camera?
No, so I use a little stick pocket camera, and it's on like a stabilizer, but it can swirl. And I think when I got hit, either my hand turned or it spun around, and I couldn't have pictured it any better, right? I couldn't have planned it. It just caught my face at the best moment. And the funny part is, if you go to my X profile and see the banner, it's from the Gordon Keselowski fight from about a dozen years ago, and I kind of have that same expression on my face. So
what do you call that?
Oh my gosh, something go well. I call that look, S is about to go down.
And there you are, right in the middle of it, ready to capture it all.
Let me throw this one at you. When it's all said and done, which Kyle has had the better career? Kyle Larson or Kyle Busch?
I would say Kyle Busch has had the better NASCAR career. If you want to talk about overall racing career, when you talk about Chili Bowl championships, Knoxville National championships, now being racing in the Indy 500, I want to say Kyle Larson, he's raced in the Rolex 24. I would almost say Kyle Larson has had the better overall racing career when you look at all the different types of racing he's done.
And 7 years younger than Busch, he still has some time to surpass what even Busch has done out there, which is really impressive too, considering what he did in the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, we know one thing for sure, that Bob, you'll be on it, you'll be covering it all, and hopefully if there's a Stenhouse Busch Part 2, you got to be in there somehow. I don't know how you. Just be careful. Bring your headgear, okay?
Yeah, get that little camera on the swivel out there and give us another good new profile picture there on X.
I'll do my best.
The great Bob Pockrass. Thank you so much for joining us. NASCAR on Fox's home. Well, it has been a fun show so far, talking with some of the great guests that we've had on this show. And if you stick around, we got another one after the break. Welcome back to this very special edition of the No Off Days podcast. Chris, we've been having some great discussions on this show, and I say we don't waste any more time. I don't even want you to say another word because we have another interview to get to. No, silence. Check it out. We have one of the best golf writers in the land. He writes for Sports Illustrated. He's also a Tampa Bay resident. We welcome Bob Herrig to the Nod Pod. Bob, thanks for hopping on with us.
Well, Bob, kind of take us inside the life of a golf writer. I think that's something that all of us sports talking heads that, hack around on the golf course kind of fantasize about. I know it probably seems ideal from the outside looking in, but are you, especially when you work for a brand like Sports Illustrated, are you traveling to covering all of the majors and some of these kind of upper tier non-major events as well? And you've got the Masters coming up. How fired up are you about covering another Masters?
Right. Yeah. I've been doing this a while. I covered golf when I was at the St. Pete Times, not as extensively as I do now. I worked for ESPN for a long time before SI. And, I typically go to somewhere between 15 and 20 tournaments a year, depending. I usually get to all of the major championships. I get to the big tournaments in Florida. I was at the Arnold Palmer and the Players the couple of weeks before the Valspar. I was at Riviera back in February, where Tiger played the only time this year, the Genesis Invitational. And a couple of weeks before that, I went to the first live event of the year where John Rahm made his debut. And then, after the Masters, there will be the PGA Championship, the U.S. Open. I might hit a couple of playoff events. Later in the year, there's a President's Cup in Canada this year, and and the ins and outs also. Not when I'm not on the road, I'm still writing about golf, conference calls, reporting, tracking down various stories. So it keeps us hopping. That's for sure. It's an and at this time and point in time in golf, with what's been going on outside the ropes, there's been a lot to stay on top of.
And you somehow find time to write a book. And you are not just one, but your latest is out now, and that is Drive, the Lasting Legacy of Tiger Woods. You kind of dive into what makes Tiger special, and there's so many aspects to that, right? But one of those happens to be this kind of fire that burns within him, the drive to win, to battle back, to battle through so many injuries. We have seen that. What is, from your perspective, peculiar about Tiger Woods' drive?
Well, I just think it's a quality that most of us don't possess. There's a lot of human nature involved in the way we all go about things. And, just think of it in your own case, or, my own case, like you try to get motivated, say, to exercise, and, you're on a good roll, and then something comes along, and maybe you're tired, or maybe you've been really busy at work, and you justify a reason to skip it. Well, in Tiger's world, he never would skip. He always would do it, no matter what. And that would, whether it was, training, hitting balls, practicing, short game, mental things, and you just see that throughout his career. Tiger's immensely talented. I mean, obviously, for the longest time, his skill could carry him to so many things, but there's other aspects that had to push him over. It wasn't going to just be the skill. There's plenty of good golfers and really skilled golfers, and it's a game that you're not going to be perfect at very often. And so I just sort of tried to recount the numerous examples throughout his career where he had to have this resiliency. The very first Masters he won in 1997, there was a lot of hype. Tiger was only 21 at the time. It was his first major as a pro. He was actually one of the tournament co-favorites going in, which is pretty remarkable, really. The year before, as an amateur, he had missed the cut at Augusta. He had won 3 times as a pro, which was phenomenal, but still, it was a lot to think that he was going to win his first Masters in his first try as a pro. And he goes out and he shoots 40 for the first 9 holes. That might ruin a lot of people. That might be hard to come back from. And what did Tiger do? He found a way. He regrouped. He figured something out on the 10th tee. He birdied the 10th hole, shot 30 on the back 9 to shoot 70, and went on to win the tournament by 12. You know, it was one of the most historic wins of all. It was incredible. He set all kinds of records. He was 21 years old, and you know, that sort of began the Odyssey, the Tiger mania, and it really carried through. You know, a lot of the book is about the 2019 Masters win, his 15th major. You know, that victory might have been his greatest of all because he wasn't Tiger. He wasn't the same Tiger. He was 43. He was diminished physically. He wasn't feared anymore. And yet he somehow pulled it off just 2 years after a major back surgery. And I kind of get into the weeds with all that went on behind the scenes to get him to that point.
Well, you also get into the fine details of something else, too, when you talk about resiliency. Golf Digest says that this book is certainly the most thorough documentation of the physical suffering that he went through in the course of winning his 15 majors. And in particular, you focus a great amount of detail, more so than I think has been compiled in one narrative about the 2021 car crash that was, you know, devastated his body so badly. Yeah. What did you pull from his peers in kind of piecing that together that showed you the kind of impact that accident had, you know, not just on Tiger, but on his peers as well in the world of golf?
Well, everybody knows how dire the situation was there. I mean, you know, Tiger easily could have been killed in that crash. The car rolled. It was a huge SUV. You know, he had to have multiple surgeries to his and frankly, we don't know all of them. Mm-hmm, yeah. You know, it sounds like there was considerable damage to his ankle, to his foot, to his lower leg. You know, he's in the hospital for a month. He was probably in a wheelchair for a couple months after that. And, you know, we didn't see him. Tiger didn't want to be seen. Then he was on crutches. And, you know, his friends started to visit him. And, you know, they don't give all the details, but they clearly understood that this was going to be a long road recovery. You know, and Tiger ends up playing the Masters 14 months later. Not only did he play, he made the cut. Yeah. He shot 71 his first round. He broke par. You know, he beat guys, a lot of guys, good players who had been playing and practicing. I mean, it was remarkable. And in its own right, it was a mini victory. You know, just that he returned, that he played, that he competed. Augusta National's no fun walk for anybody who's healthy, let alone a guy with a bad leg.
Well, the game is changing and has changed, and in no small part to the guy who's probably now an ambassador in all this, and that is one Tiger Woods, one of the greatest to ever do it. And you can read some of the compelling stories of what has made Tiger so special in Bob Herrig's new book, Drive, The Lasting Legacy of Tiger Woods, available wherever you get your books. Bob, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Excellent, guys. I appreciate you having me. Thanks so much.
Chris, coming up is our fourth block. What do we always call it?
I can talk this time.
Yes.
We always call it our fun block.
Our
with
fun
BK.
block. The best of fun block. It's coming up next. Welcome back to the nodpod. You know, every week, Chris, we try to end the show with some type of game that BK has conjured up. He does a good job at that.
Leave them laughing and leave us confused. That's our motto.
And we have one of our favorites to share with you right now.
You ready for some headlines?
Let's do it.
Always.
Nodpod Gazette here. We're going to start off with the headline. You tell me if it's true or false. Can't be licked. An Oregon woman has her son to thank for helping her set the world record for the largest tongue. Jenny Duvander says her son is a fanatic about Guinness Book of World Records, reading them constantly. He noticed that she had a rather girthy tongue and measured it, and sure enough, set the world record. True or false?
How much? Oh wait, how much girth?
Let me check here. 5.21 inches around.
5.2 around?
Yes.
Around.
Hang on, so
how does she close her mouth?
That's like, is that what? Like,
that's bigger than a hockey puck.
I mean, the mouth has to be huge, right? How do you speak?
Yeah.
I mean, does she have any speech impediment?
This article did not say
if she's
anything
real.
about that.
Right. It would be like.
Yeah. Oh goodness, I got a big one here.
I'm sorry. What are you telling me to do?
Yeah. Oh goodness. I'm gonna say it's true because I just feel like it's true. The fact that you added the detail of the son encouraging her, I think this is true.
No, it's false. There's nobody that's playing whack-a-mole with their giant girthy tongue. I'm gonna say no.
Duvander said that her son was reading the book last year and saw the category for the largest tongue. And as you can see,
it looks like she's got a cucumber coming out of her mouth. Still doesn't look like it's 5.2 inches.
Well,
all right. Can we take that off the screen?
We have to trust Guinness.
I'm
not going to measure it myself. Let's trust Guinness on this one. Good job.
Thanks, fine.
All right, here we go. The most unlucky man. A Russian man has been verified to have been struck by tiny meteorite particles for an incredible 7 times his entire life, surviving each one. Well, that's his name. Grigory Velesevich lives in a region of Siberia that is a magnet for meteorites and has incurred injuries for the past 21 years, ranging from minor scrapes from meteorite dust to a fractured shoulder. True or false?
That was a good one that got him. This sounds right. It sounds about right, but I don't know why you're still living in Meteoriteville, dude. Like, get out of Dodge. Like, seriously,
that's what they call it, Dodge.
All right, well, good luck with that. Yeah, he's clearly not doing that very well. But all it would take is like one to the head, right?
Yeah.
You take one to the head, you're toast.
This is the reason, they always say you've got better odds of getting hit by a meteorite than you do of winning Powerball. It's because of him. He's shooting up the odds because he won't move. Yeah. I think it's true because I do believe I've read that there's this place in Siberia that's kind of a meteorite magnet.
Is there like an outfit you could wear? Like like Teflon, like some type
in
of
Spaceballs, the big helmet. Like the guy, what was his name?
Yeah.
Big helmet?
Lord Helmet.
Lord Helmet. Yeah, wear that.
Yeah.
It is completely false.
Is it? Oh, you got us both.
But I bet there is some truth there. That is the Nodpod Gazette. Not a bad show, Chris. What did you think of the bod?
It's never looked better.
All right. The Nodpod bod, the best of discussions. Thanks for watching. On behalf of BK and the rest of our Nodpod crew, until the next time we're on, there are no off days.